Hi, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us on today's webinar, which is on PAfE, IBM Planning Analytics PAfE. For those who don't know, PAfE is the Excel add-in. Excel add-in in TM1 probably has been the most powerful tool that especially the accountants use when using TM1, and it has evolved quite a bit over the years, and the name has changed as well over the years as well. We are really lucky to have Xavier with us today. He is a senior product manager with IBM, and he is leading the charge on the evolution of PAfE as we go into the new era. So today, what we'll be having is sessions on his session will be on looking at how the evolution of PAfE has been over the years. What are the new features that we should be using and perhaps not using? And more importantly, we'll also have a quick view into what are they cooking in the labs, which means there are new features that they're working on in the IBM labs, which he'll be able to showcase some of it today. As part of him showing all of that, he'll go through some slides, demos, and things like that. And it would we'd be quite interested, especially to see what's cooking in the labs. That's probably what I'm most interested in today. We've got a number of people. We run these webinars on multiple platforms on YouTube, LinkedIn, webinar platform, and things like that. So we have people from different platforms here. So we'll try to monitor all the questions as they come through. So if you think of something, you can put it in whatever platform you are on the chat. And if you're not able to get to the question straight away, and today we will get back to you at some point and answer the queries or get it answered for you. So I'm Amendra. I run Octane Software Solutions, and we are a IBM Gold partner. We support and service clients globally. We are on a passionate drive to modernize the planning analytics, and as part of that, we are offering you this webinar, and hope you enjoy it. Now I'll hand over to Xavier to take us through his session. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Xavier Osorio. I'm a senior product manager with IBM. I'm product managing for planning analytics. And specifically, I lead the effort in planning analytics for Excel and planning analytics spreadsheet services. Today, I'm honored to having invited um, to talk to you about some of the great things that we're doing with planning analytics for Excel and planning analytics spreadsheet services. Um, First, what I like to do is to thank my hosts and to thank all of the people who are watching this today. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your interest. And so, not to waste any more time, I'll get started right away. But actually, uh, a little bit of an introduction, I guess. Some of you have not seen me before. As I said, Xavier Osorio. I'm joining you from Toronto, Canada. I'm an accountant. I'm a Canadian accountant, and have been working with planning software since about 2002 now. I started working with a product that was known as Cognos Planning. I worked for another company called Clarity Planning, and eventually I landed in Applix in about 2006, 2007, and moved into first Cognos, who acquired Applix, and eventually now at IBM. So I've been working with planning analytics for nearly 20 years now, and I'm a big fan. I am not just working with it, I'm a huge fan of the product itself, both the server, the UI, and I'm very experienced in the area as well. So having said that, let me get started with a small presentation that I have to give you an idea of what we're working on. So let's get started. All right, I have a few slides just to go over some of the things that we're working on, just to give you a little bit of of an idea. So our agenda is nice and simple today. The agenda is, first of all, I'm going to give a brief overview of what we're working on. What is our strategy? So that you have a macro level understanding of what we're working on. What are we doing? Then we're going to focus on the planning analytics for Excel and spreadsheet services recent deliveries. This year, ourselves, the development team has been extremely busy putting out new features. And we want to ensure that not only you know about these new features, but also you know how to best utilize them. And so today I'm going to give you an overview both of some of the things that we've delivered, but also I'm going to provide a demo so that we can talk about some of the ways to utilize these new features. And I'm going to end today's presentation with what we're working on. So the update from the labs, we have some imminent deliveries that we will be making and what we will be providing you for new functionality until the end of the year and a little bit towards what's happening next year as well. So let's keep going. So again, as I said, from our strategy, what is it that we're looking at? What is it that we're working on, and what is the strategy? So, first of all, the legacy reports. So, as we know, PAfE sort of is the next generation. We had perspectives in the past. Perspectives is coming out of support in October, and so we still have a lot of our users. We still have old legacy clients who are continuing to make that move. So one of the important parts is that, of course, all of the legacy reports that you used to be able to create dynamic reports, what we called custom reports today. Of course, we will continue to support that. We have been historically supporting that. That's how we started with PAfE. And so rest assured that we are not dropping support. We ensure that they continue to work. We ensure that they continue to work efficiently, not just work, but we continue to always try to enhance its efficiency. And so that will continue to thrive. That will continue to work. And so what's happening is though we've switched a little bit from the new reports as you see. So we'll continue to make enhancements to the response time there. However, all of our new features and a lot of what you will see today, a lot of the exciting things that we're working on to enhance planning analytics for Excel is being placed into universal reports. And so universal reports, there are two universal reports, a dynamic universal report and a static universal report. The idea is that the static report, more or less, eventually, although it's already capable today, will replace or, we hope that your new custom reports, for example, you will look at the universal static reports to create new reports. They're more efficient. They are more designed today. Planning analytics itself, the server is working closer with MDX. So these reports are taking advantage of that. And I will show you today why. And same thing with the dynamic universal reports. They give you an expansion of both rows and columns, which is an enhancement over the old dynamic reports, I would say, that only give you the row type of drill in. And so these are what we're looking at as the replacements for those legacy reports. And therefore, a lot of the efforts that we're placing, a lot of the new features that we are doing are focused in the universal reports. And today you will see. And eventually, what we also want to do, as you know, right now, we work only in planning analytics in Microsoft Excel for Windows. Eventually, in the longer term, we want to expand that to other operating systems. And so I'll be talking to you a little bit about that as well. So that is our strategy. Hopefully it is nice and clear. As I said, none of your reports will stop working. They will continue to work. What we're looking at is to give you some new functionality in universal reports that will make it easy for you to create your reports, to manage your reports. So we'll be looking at that in the next few minutes. So, as we said, this year we're being extremely busy. And as I said in our strategy earlier in the year, we did deliver an enhancement. So we did get a little bit of feedback with some of our very large data customers. They did tell us that there was some performance differences between the very large reports. But as you see here in the slides, we're talking about 100,000 rows, over 10,000 rows, lots of columns. Really, in my perspective, a lot of these are not really reports. A lot of these, we know that people are using it to dump data to Excel, to take the data out of the system and then move it somewhere else. And so we did notice that there was a little bit of a difference in some of those very large reports, and we were able to deliver an enhancement earlier in the year, and we've received some fantastic feedback regarding those enhancements. And some of our customers who were working closely on this gave us a range of time savings between 50% and 80% time savings for the retrieval of those very large reports. So as I said, we're still very committed to enhancing our functionality on all our legacy reports, not only running, but we continue to focus on enhancing that. And so then some of the other things that we did last year, we did deliver both universal report static and dynamic. And this year, what we'll be focusing in is adding additional functionality for it. So I'm going to take you through some of the demos. I'm actually going to demo some of these things, such as the inserting spacers, which we think it's huge, which we also think it's unique in the market. So some of these things that I'm going to be showing you, I mean, as a product manager, planning analytics for Excel, I do spend some time searching the market, searching what some of our competitors are doing. And I haven't seen any other competitor do what I'm about to show you in the inserting spacers, custom headers, and all of that, right? Same thing with the Excel formulas. Again, because of our history in custom reports and dynamic reports and all our legacy reports, we were always very flexible in allowing you to include Excel, native Excel calculations. So you see now that both the dynamic and, of course, the static always had support for that. So you'll be able to see that. We've added pick lists. We've added some new parameters. So rather than continuing to show you slides, why don't we get started directly with a demo, and let's take a look at some of these enhancements by taking a look at the system itself. So as usual here, all that I'm doing is I'm opening Planning Analytics for Excel. And what I'm going to do is log in into one of our servers. And what I'll do is first I'll start opening some examples so that you'll be able to see the end result of some of these additions. And what I will do is I will actually then recreate them, or try to show you how we created those, so that you can take away and see how easy it was to create these. And hopefully you'll be able to duplicate and use some of the information that I'm about to show in your own company. So let's get started with a simple one. And so what I'll do here is I'll just rebuild the book to start with. So now we're going to open Planning Analytics for Excel. As you can see here, here is the add-in. I'm going to directly log into that. We're going to log in into one of our servers so that we can start the demo of some of the new features. And what we're going to do today, the strategy today is we will show you some reports that are finished, that are taking advantage of this new capabilities. And what I want to do is show you how we did it, so that there is nothing left behind. There's no magic. and you'll be able to understand exactly how to do it. And hopefully, you'll be able to then be able to duplicate some of the things that I'm going to show you back in your own companies. So let's get started quickly here. Let's start with a simple report that I think shows some of these capabilities extremely well. This is a sample report. I'm running, if you didn't notice while I was logging in, um, I logged into our sample database at 24 retail. And so this is a report that's just running off the revenue cube in 24 retail. So let's take a look. First of all, what I'm going to do, this is a universal report, a dynamic universal report. And as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm both minimizing the rows and the columns, and I have the ability to expand my rows, and I have the ability to expand my columns, right? As a dynamic report. Now, one of the things that you should notice is that there were some predefined spacers that were placed into this report, both in the columns and in the rows. Again, I do spend a lot of time as a product manager looking at other technologies, doing my own research. Um, some of our competitors are able to break things into areas, but what they're doing is they're splicing reports together, right? Splicing different sections. I've never seen anybody out there being able to do what I'm doing right now or looking at this, but this is one report. And this is sort of the advantage of universal reports. The big difference, if you haven't heard yet, between universal reports and our legacy reports, for example, the DBRW based reports, is that, first of all, they don't have a formula, so there are no DBRWs. How we're handling it is there is just one MDX call that gets made to the TM1 server. The TM1 server responds, and then we populate the data as required. So these reports are a lot more efficient. So that's why the universal reports, we're really excited about this technology. It promises us better performance, more efficiency. The DBRWs, of course, a fantastic technology that's still out there, that's still working, but each cell makes its own call. And so it takes a little bit more resources to manage the call in each cell and the retrieval of that data. It takes more resources to do all that than one MDX call, and then we'll handle sort of the data in this end over here. So this is what I'm saying, that these reports promise to be more efficient. And that's what we're excited about it, and that's what we continue to enhance the functionality in the report. So as you can see, it is fully dynamic. I am able to drill both rows and columns as required. And what I will do in the next couple of minutes is basically show you how I created this report so that you'll see how simple it is to do. The other item to highlight of this particular report is this area right here. This, as you can see, is an Excel report. And it's just basically, it's a simple Excel formula, of course, but it's there just to show that it allows you to add, for example, in this case, 16 plus 64. Again, this is what we call a custom header. It allows you to create a custom header. It allows you to define an Excel formula, and this Excel formula automatically gets duplicated, and it will continue to work, of course, depending on every time that I change any area of the dimensionality, the formula will persist and will continue to update with the new values. Okay, so hopefully at least this gives you a little bit of an idea. And then, of course, yeah, I know this report is not the greatest looking report, lots of colors, lots of different black and white, but it was also made on purpose to show also some of the flexibility that now these universal reports have when it comes to formatting, to allow you that control to format the intersections, whether you want to see columns in a certain way, whether you want to see rows in a certain way, or really any piece of data that you want to pick out. This will allow you to define, right? And then the other big thing, for example, is that in universal reports we do have full suppression directly from the spreadsheet that the users can swap back and forth directly from the spreadsheet. That will allow you to do full suppression. For example, quick reports do not have zero suppression. Again, this is an enhancement we feel in all of those different options. Okay, so let's now let me now show you how easy it was to create that report. And again, the goal here is to give you an idea of how easy it is to create these reports. So as I said, the revenue cube is the one that we used for this particular example. And my default view already brings me the phones, for example, that we were looking at. So this is, as you can see, what we were drilling in the report. So we'll leave it that way. We don't have anything to do there. In the organization was the one that we were looking at in the row section. And the only difference, of course, is that what we want to do is we want to do the totals trailing. That's what you saw in the report. So this is our very basic report. And what is it that we're looking at here? Budget volume. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now create a universal report based on this very simple view. And we will start some of our formatting. And so this is what we've added. So what I'm going to do is, for example, say under East region, I'm going to right click and I have a new option that will allow me to add a user role into the universal report. So what I'm going to say is after the selection. So after East region, create space. That's all I have to do. As you can see here now, I have a space between the East region and the next section. So even if I close this, for example, you'll be able to see that is there. And if I now contract total company and expand it again, you will see that that space persists. That's it. And so what I will do now is just very quickly try to add additional spacers there. And I will also do after the selection here. And it's important for you to it's important for you to determine whether you want after the selection or before the selection, because it all depends on how you want the report to behave. If I did here before the selection, for example, and I expanded the West region, if I did it before the selection, there would be a space between the West region and its children. So that's why, depending on how the direction of your expansion, it is important for you in your report to define whether you want before or after. So as you can see there, what I did was after, and I'll show you exactly because of the behavior that I want. Now here is I want this now before. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing in the columns, but I want to be able to add before my current selection. So I want the space between the 4G phones and the phone only phones. And I'm going to now do exactly the same here and add a spacer here by right clicking again and adding it before the selection. Again, depending on what you want to do with your report, you will define whether it's before or after the selection. So we're almost already done with the report that we did here. So if I expand the 3 and G, you will see that I don't have that 16 plus 34. So what I will do here is I'm going to add, guess what? I'm going to add another space, this time after the selection, to create another area where I'm going to fill it in with an Excel formula. So here, for example, Now this is a custom header. And so what I'm going to say is 64G plus 16G. See, you can place any header. The report is going to try to find a member. It's going to ensure there's no member, because sometimes here, for example, I can place anything here, and if it finds a member, it will retrieve the data. That's how it works. So here now, what I'm going to do is create my simple formula, which is this plus that. And now I have my Excel formula that is defining what this column is going to be. And I have one more thing to do here. I'm going to right click on that cell. And what I'm going to do is apply the formula calculation to the column. It's going to give me a warning. I'm going to say OK. And I've created now that formula for the full column. Now, if I expand my East region, for example, I'll be able to see that the children of East region have that formula. If I expand the Central region, I'll be able to see that, everything has that formula, right? And so it persists, right? So there we go. It persists both. So we have here a custom header. We have here Excel formulas to augment it. This could have easily been done in a row as well. In a row, if you could put the formula, then you will be able to also define whether you want all of these formulas to go. The only difference now between this report and of course, let me just show that everything persists. So even, for example, if I change this report now to take a look at the revenue, the Excel formula will persist. Everything will persist as expected. The only difference now between the report that I showed and this one is a little bit now of the formatting. And again, if you have not seen it, universal reports, these universal reports, the dynamic universal reports, use conditional formatting for its formatting. You say, well, why conditional formatting? Because it's dynamic, because everything keeps moving. So you can't say this cell is going to be this color. I mean, you could, but we're going to override it. And so how do we know what this is? So this is a little bit, we've taken like dynamic reports in the past. Now, if I show my format areas, there is, of course, an additional set of formulas that have been hidden for you. We've created but hidden for you that are looking for the level. Just as in the dynamic report, you can edit this formula to make it hold whatever values that you have. We're still going to be looking at that formula for you to define that. So the formatting is very simple. Basically, what you're doing is you're matching those sections, both of rows and columns. So for example, here by selecting just the rows, I'm only getting the rules that we've predetermined for. So for example, here, let's say that I want to change my zero levels I want to change all of my zero levels, fill it in with a nice gray and, uh, maybe a border, an outline, a black outline, whatever it is. And let's see the font. We also want it black. Full control. Again, so I will say that. I will say OK. I will apply it, and you will see that my zero level components now have changed colors to match my definition. Right? So you can create, there's nothing that stops you from adding new rules here as well. So you can add your new rules here as required. And exactly in the same way, if I say this, so if I now, for example, go after my formatting in my column headers, I now have that ability to do exactly that as well. Just doing a quick time check here. Okay, so same thing here. As you can see, let's say, let's do the leaf levels here, just so that we can see. I don't want the leaf levels to be bold, for example. And so I'll just say regular. I do want to change it to black, and I'll give it a funky fill just so that we can see. And this is the column headers. I will apply that and say, okay, there is my leaf levels. And same thing, you have full control. If you just click on the data area itself, you have another set of rules that we've created for you, and these have both, right? These, as you can see, there are two leaf areas, because what is it that you want to do? Do you want to use the C50, which is, do you want to use the row to format this, or do you want to use the columns to format that, right? So for example here, let's say columns if it's 0. So let's do the format in the column in this case, and I'll do a little bit of what I did in the original report, and we'll do a black fill with a white font, and we'll make it bold. Okay, so I'm not going to I'm not going to spend the time here, and so what I'll do is also in the rules, what also happens, of course, is the order of the rules matters. And so I'm not sure what I did there, whether I did the right rule, probably leave, but whatever. Just to give you an idea that you have full control over that, and conditional formatting through the rules, through changing order or creating your own conditional formatting, will give you full control of the report. And that's it. All that you do is you publish this, and also this will continue to work in Planning Analytics for Excel. So just one other example to show you a little bit of that is, let's see, so using that same strategy of adding spacers, for example, I'll show you this other example here. Let me just close this one. I think I messed something up there. It's this one. Okay, nope, that's the same one. Okay, this is it. I have overwritten something. No, that's not the one that I want. I'm very sorry about this, but let me just give it one more try before I give up. May 15. Oh, yep, it's down here. I was playing around with something earlier with some static. And so here's the report itself. So um, using that same methodology, I was able to create a fully functional income statement, drillable income statement. And of course, this is available for balance sheets and cash flows as well. It's the first time, for example, that we can have a fully drillable income statement here. So as you can see, here's a custom header. To create this revenue section, all I did was create a user role before the selection and just gave it a name. The rest remain empty. As you can see, here's the variance. If I now go into my operating expenses, I'll be able to see what makes up my operating expenses. I'll be able to drill in all of the way to the accounts themselves. And so that's being defined using that same method. This one in the columns allows me to drill into the time dimension. So here I'm able to see my quarters, as you can see, and I did exactly the same thing, space before, so that we can see that space as it opens. And then I'm able to do that as well. In this report, just as information, as you can see, here we have zebra lines. If I do the show format areas, we will be able to see that I did change basically the formula so that it moves into zeros and ones only. And I was able to then use those zeros and ones to be able to define the zebra lines in using the conditional formatting. Okay, so that's basically that gives you hopefully a good idea of some of the fantastic new capabilities that we have. Here, I'll show some other very quick capabilities. We now have the spreads, we have the holds, ability to convert to snapshots. And so, we're extremely excited about universal reports. Let's switch really quickly now into static universal reports to be able to show some of the recent capabilities there so as we said, static universal reports are a little bit more like they behave more like our custom reports, right? So there is no drilling in, no drilling out, but they do provide more control to the user. So for example, if I need to have a spacer here, I can just go in, just like in custom reports, create a spacer in the report. If I need a spacer here, I'll be able to create a spacer anywhere that I want. And again, just like before, this is a report that has no DBRWs and still continues to work. So this provides more users with more flexibility. And of course, you can use the standard formatting here because this isn't so dynamic that you can use the standard formatting capabilities that will allow you to format this any way you want. What I wanted to highlight here in this particular report was a couple of things. So what we added here in recently, so if I now show the show format areas, is for example, one of the things that we have is allow write back. True. This is a huge move as well, and it's a huge departure from what we used to do before. Changing this parameter basically takes two values, true and false. If I change this to false, I'll show you what happens. So if I, for example, do an adjustment to a merit increase here of 10, let's say I'm going to change this, you will see that the number basically does not get written back to the database until I commit. And let me see, let me just refresh the sheet. Okay, so let me just try that again. No, it's not allowing me to do that. I broke. Oh no, there it is. So now when I commit, so for example, if I enter 10 here to change it to 10%, it will tell me because of the blue that it's not committed. I have to hit commit. I have to commit the changes to the database. So this is how historically these have worked. You used to have to do commit. Now what I can do is just change this to true. And what this gives me is a dynamic report so that I can now change it back, let's say to 7%, press enter, and that will already be committed to the database, as you can see, without me having to hit commit. This will work the same in both Planning Analytics for Excel and Planning Analytics web sheets. And so now you have the choice. In the past, you had to go to the TM1 server, for example, for web sheets, and you'd make them all dynamic so that you don't have to do the commit. Now you get to choose report by report. We have this new parameter that says this report is going to allow write back dynamically. This one isn't. The other one that we added is also here, the gutters. The gutters is a function in reports that allows you to add content. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to add, for some reason, the FTE that is here, all I have to do is just enter a name, for example, of a member, and then this will retrieve sort of the new it will place a new column and it will place the values there as well. And so I can do that in rows and columns so that the users may add content to the report. However, sometimes you're creating a report and you may not want people to change it. So what you do is you can disable those gutters to true now. And then as you can see though, that that nice green color faded to gray, which now means that the gutters are no longer dynamic. And this will also translate to both the web sheets themselves. All right. So really quickly now, let's take a look at some of these in the web sheets themselves. And so I'm going to log in into Planning Analytics, and let's take a look at those web sheets, because it's very important that the web sheets work the same as well. And so here we're looking at, of course, PAW, and I did publish these to a folder named URs, Universal Reports. So let's take a look at the first one that we looked at, the April 15. We'll drag and drop it here, and you will be able to see that this is our dynamic report as a web sheet that has the same capabilities that we saw in Excel itself, that allows you to drill into these particular areas, both rows and columns. And of course, what we also did was also be able to add the custom columns as well with the Excel content. And of course, everything continues to be dynamic. Okay, so everything that is works in Excel, as you can see, moves over to here. Same thing with the HR form that we looked at in a second ago. I didn't publish some of those changes. But if we now create some space for the HR form, the important part, which we didn't talk a little bit about when we were looking at Excel, and one of the main reasons why we quickly added that parameter that allows you to change the behavior of this, was also our new support in these 4 pick lists. And so here, for example, now if I change my pick list here to marketing, in the past, what I had to do was to refresh before I can then select a cascading pick list in this case. So I had to go through refresh and then this list. Now it's all dynamic, right? So now, as you can see here, if I change the merit, same thing to the 10%, this has been added to allow the change to be updated dynamically. And so these are some of the changes that we've delivered. There's more. Hopefully that gave you an easy view of some of the things that we're working on. Now let me continue on into some of the things that we are now looking to deliver in the near future. Okay, so we'll go back to our presentation. So as we said, we're always looking to add additional Excel integration. So you saw formulas. We are looking to continue to enhance that. Some of the work that we're also doing is performance tuning. We're always continually looking at how to get more juice out of our system. Not that we're unhappy with where we currently are, but we're always looking to improve. And of course, some of the user improvements, we're trying to make it easier. We're trying to ensure the business users, as I said, my background is in accounting. I'm not very technical myself, but you saw how I was able to create my own income statement. I was able to create balance sheets. I'm able to create a lot of content just with a few clicks. So that's been part of our focus, and we continue to focus on that. So having said that, here's what's coming down the line. Here's what we're working on. So in Q4, we are coming with a new calculation editor. So you already saw that Excel has that capability that you need to add, but we're going a little bit further in that we're going to add sort of the calculation that you have in PAW that allows you to select, for example, a couple of rows and say add this or subtract this. But we're actually both PA and PAfE are having an enhanced calculation. That's going to be more powerful. That'll give you more choices about how you calculate your data, and you'll be able to do that. The advantage there is, of course, all the calculation is user defined, but a lot of the stuff in the background's happening um, in MDX. We're coming up with a formula wizard. So TM1 set, for example, which is um, uh, a new formula in all our universal reports, um, that's replaced sub and M to be able to get a set of subsets, for example. Um, it's functional, it's extremely good. Um, but it has been a little bit challenging. It's a little bit more complex to define manually than sub and app. So what we're working on is a new wizard, so that just very simple. A user will be able through a wizard to define a TM1 set that they will no longer need to sit down and try to create that Excel formula themselves, right? Um, we're committed to universal reports, so we are having converters coming up. So we're going to start with quick reports. Any quick report that you have, you'll be able to move it into a static universal report. And then eventually the other report types will follow. So we're committed to this. Again, we're committed to also converting some of your legacy content into the new modernized type of reports. We will be continuing to deliver reporting converters. Sandboxes and universal reports are still not there, but we are working on it. They are coming. Um, we're having some changes to the set editor preferences for the Q viewer, so you can set your preferences, and this is how you always view it, right? A big one that's coming in 107, which I can actually show a little bit, is that we're going to have a hybrid report type. What you saw is basically a report, and actually, you know what? I'm going to quickly show you a quick preview of that. Let me just show you, because this is really important, and this is coming in 107. So this will be with us in a month or so from now. Okay. And so let me just open an example here. And where is it? Balance sheet dynamic. Oh, here we go. So this report is a static universal report, and you will see that it is an income statement, gross revenue. There's no formula there. And here, for example, I have stuff from another cube. This is my revenue cube. And guess what? This one does have a formula. So what we did, and in 107, we're releasing it behind a feature flag. We have a new option now that will allow you to right click, for example, here, and will allow you to convert this. Oh, hold on. I just need to refresh this report before I can do that. Okay, so now I'll be able to show you that. And so this is a little preview of what's coming up in the next version. And you can see you can replace that with TM1 formulas. So it's a hybrid. You will have a report just like this one that has no formulas, but formulas. In some columns, you may want formulas. Here, for example, this report, the slicer's 2020, but I may want the formula that rather than looking at 2020, I want to look at 2019. So that's why now we're giving you a hybrid option that will have no formula and formula report whenever you choose to have those formulas. Could be multi-dimensional, could be multi-cube. It's up to you to utilize that. So getting back to our that's the big news, and that one, as I said, is just a few weeks away. It's already in QA, and that's and that's the convert rule on column to TM1 val. As I said, in September, it should be in your hands. And then at the end of the year, towards the beginning of the year, we do want to move the forecasting that we have in the workbench over to universal reports as well. I know that I'm getting short in time. So I'll move quickly here. Another little quick preview. This is the formula wizard that I was talking about, right? And so this is the formula wizard that we are also releasing within the next couple of months that will allow you to define, for example, a TM1 set. You'll be able to define, pick up this from the spreadsheet, pick this up from the set editor. And so it will walk the users rather than you having to create a formula. This is our first one. TM1 set will be the first formula that will be supported. TM1 val will be the next formula that you will be able to define using a formula. Defined calc will come up eventually. And so we'll be using this to make it easier for the users to create their formulas, right? Again, this is that new calculation that I'm giving you. It's powerful in that, as you can see, it's going to have a UI that will allow you to define your formulas. This plus this divided by that, multi-dimensional. Very powerful new calculation component that is coming up. Again, this is 2 or 3 months away. It is currently in the labs. And having said that, I threw a lot of information at you. So sorry I was talking so fast because I'm very excited about our product. I'm very excited about what we've delivered. I'm very excited about what's coming down the line. And so I wanted to thank you for your time. If you need additional information, here's an email that you can ask for additional information or an appointment for your own private demo or to go farther into this. And again, through them, you have full access to IBM as well. And I would welcome your feedback. I will welcome as a product manager and you as the users. I welcome your feedback, welcome your ideas, and I would love to hear from you. So having said that, back to you. And again, thank you all for your time and attention. And I'd love to hear from you. And if you need additional information, here's where you can ask for more. Thank you again, and I hope to talk to you guys in the near future.
Thanks a lot, Xavier. That was really exciting. It was really good to see what new features are recently have been put into PAfE, and also more interestingly, what's been happening in the labs. This was a really exciting session, so I'm hoping each one of you really enjoyed it. And for those questions that we've not been able to get to, we will get to them very, very quickly and get the answers to you. Um, for anyone on or listening to today's webinar who wants to know a bit more detail or has a more personalized session on what their pain points are within their environment, please do reach out to us at any one of us at Octane, and we'd be happily guide you through some of the solutions or some of the pain points that you might be having, and help you out. If you also need the recording of the session and you haven't managed to get it, do reach out to us, and we'll pass it on to you. With that, I thank you all. Let you get back into building cubes, and hope to see you in the next webinar. Thank you. Bye.